Welcome to 30 Days of Creativity. In this series of videos, I share with you the insights that I got from reading various books and research papers on the topic of creativity. In this particular video, I want to continue with the book that I talked about in the previous video, which is Creativity by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. This video is all about the traits of a highly creative person. This is based on a research the author has done during 5 years by interviewing various people from science to art. He interviewed people who are seen as creative as they achieved recognition in their fields, for example by winning the Nobel Prize or other such important prizes. So, when you think about highly creative people, maybe you have some stereotypes in mind. Maybe someone who is very extroverted or someone who is on the opposite side, very introverted. Well, the author actually has an answer for this. He says that there isn't one specific personality and typology for a creative person. And what brings together all these people, the red thread between them, it's actually complexity. They all show complexity in their personalities and their behaviors. He says that these people are capable of going from one extreme to the other depending on the situation. You can think, for example, of a person who is very nurturing in one situation, but at times it's a little bit aggressive. This is what he's talking about. It's not that they stay in the middle, they actually are able to switch between those two opposites depending on the situation. And then he goes on to list 10 such traits that are actually opposites, but that people that are deemed as creative are able to develop and embrace in themselves. First of all, they are high in energy and also need deep rest. They have periods when they go all in with what they are working on, but then there come periods when they need to be more at peace and enjoy their alone time. The second pair of traits that he lists is having a high intellect, but in the same time having a childlike naivete, in the sense that they are grounded in what they are doing and they think in logical ways, but in the same time they sometimes ask obvious questions just for the sake of getting to the root of the problem. Next, they are both playful and highly disciplined. They have periods when they treat their work like a game and they are full of experimentation, just like a child would do, trying different things. But then when it comes to work, this is all they focus on. Then on the fourth place, we have the fact that they are both imaginative and grounded in reality. They are able to dream wild possibilities of what could happen, what could be, dream all those fantasies, but they are very grounded in reality and have a practical sense for what is possible. They think about new ideas, this imaginative part, but then they are able to distinguish which one of them can actually be translated in real life. On the fifth place comes a very interesting combination of traits. They are labeled both as extroverts and as introverts. At times they are just by themselves when they need to focus on their work, but then at other times they become social butterflies. The sixth trait is that they are both humble and proud at the same time. They are proud because of their achievements and what they have done in the past, but this doesn't let them get in the way of what can happen in the future. They would rather think about the future and remain humble. Now, the seventh pair of traits that the author mentions is a very interesting one, and I was quite surprised by this concept that he talks about. He says that those people display both masculine and feminine traits at the same time. They have psychological androgyny. They are able to cultivate in themselves also the traits of the opposite gender, and they escape rigid gender norms. They don't restrict themselves on how they should behave based on their gender, whether they should be just nurturing without being aggressive, or being aggressive but without being in touch with their emotions. Quite on the contrary, they are able to display all these varieties of responses. And the author goes on to say that by having access to various responses and not limiting themselves to just the responses of their gender, then they are able to come up with multiple perspectives to a specific situation. On the eighth place, we have the fact that highly creative people are both traditional and rebellious at the same time. They internalize the rules, the history, the standards of their field, so that once they have mastered all those rules, they can go on to challenge them or even break them. They respect convention just enough to know how to defy it well. On the ninth place, we have the fact that they are both passionate and objective at the same time. They are deeply involved in what they are doing, they are passionate about their work, but they are also able to step aside and look at their own work with a critical eye. And this is related to what I was mentioning in my previous video, in which creative people are able to distinguish a good idea from a bad one. And it makes sense. If you are so attached to your ideas, you cannot think critically about your own ideas and which one of them would have a higher chance of success or of working out the way you want to. And on the 10th place, we have the fact that highly creative people are open and sensitive, which in turn exposes them to both pain and great joy. They feel criticism and setbacks more intensely, but in the same time they also feel excitement and passion for what they are doing just as intensely. So the bottom line is that being a creative person is not about being a stereotype. You continue to be just as you are and become a little bit curious about the opposing traits that you could develop in yourself. And this is not about becoming a different person, it's not at all about that. It's about being able to perceive a situation from a different angle. It's about putting yourself in the mindset of a person who judges and evaluates a situation from a different perspective. I hope you enjoyed this video and stay tuned for the next one.